Year during our Mayapur Yatra. Some of you went to Adi Saptagram. There are 7 villages there. One of them is Krishnapur. Krishnapur is the birthplace of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. He was born in unbelievable affluence. His father was Govardhan Majumadar, who was the brother of Hiranya, who was a massive landowner. They had such close ties with the king of Bengal that they were directly exacting taxes and paying to him. They were making about 800,000 rupees annually. Now, 500 years ago, 1 rupee could buy 650 pounds of rice. How much rice can 1 rupee buy today? Could anyone give us an estimation? Any of you housewives? Huh? 5 pounds. 5 grams. Are you sure you're shopping at the right place? Mahaprabhu gets about 5 to 10 grams for a rupee. So how much was a rupee worth in those days? 650 pounds of rice. So they were really, really wealthy. Just next to Krishnapur is a village called Chandpur. How many of you have been to Chandpur? That was the home of Yadunandanacharya, who was the family guru of Raghunath Das Goswami, as well as Balaramacharya. They were both very, very dear disciples of Advaitacharya and extremely close friends with Vasudev Dutt. They learned from them. So when Hare Krishna, someone is very eager to hear. Huh? Lucky Mahaprabhu's not guarding the door. Better you sit where you are and enjoy class. Hopefully. Srila Haridas Thakur was born in what is now Bangladesh, in a place called Bhutan. And when he was a young man, he was living in Benapole, where he was chanting 300,000 names of Krishna over 192 rounds minimum every day. And he was a young man. Sometimes we think, I'll take my japa seriously when I become old. Now I'm young and I have so many desires. Well, Haridas was a young man in the prime of his youth, sitting in a secluded place in the forest chanting. And he was getting so much love and respect from everyone because of his merciful, compassionate nature. It was there that Ramchandra Khan tried to destroy him. plotted to assassinate his good name. Sent a beautiful prostitute there in the middle of the night for 3 nights. And eventually the prostitute surrendered to him and became his initiated disciple. Haridas Thakur told her, I know that rascal Ramchandra Khan sent you. Just stay here in my bhajan kutir, do 300,000 names a day, and worship Tulsi. And whatever food or clothing is required, give away everything you have. It will all come by Krishna's grace. If you take shelter of the holy name, there's nothing to fear. She did. And Haridas Thakur left. And the next place that he came, according to our historical recordings, is Chandpur. There Balaramacharya Yadunandan set up a conference where he was going to describe the glories of the holy name. It was at that time that the little child, Raghunath, met with Haridas Thakur. This little multi-millionaires. He saw Haridas Thakur's total devotion. He felt his compassion. He witnessed his unbelievable renunciation. And most of all, he was deeply affected by Haridas Thakur's total attachment to the chanting of the holy names and total attachment to glorifying the holy names. Raghunath Das Goswami, who was then little Raghunath, his life would never be the same. He was utterly transformed. A little boy, he came home. He was not interested in anything except Harinam and devotion to Krishna. But then something else happened. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Katwa to take sannyas. From there, he declared, I will go to Vrindavan. But on the way to Vrindavan, Nityananda Prabhu, knowing the anguish of all the Vaishnavas in separation from the Lord, had to save their lives by redirecting Lord Chaitanya to Shantipur. There in Shantipur, Raghunath Das Goswami was brought. Now, his father and uncle, Govardhan and Hiranya, they were very, very close associates of Advaita Prabhu because they were very wealthy. In fact, they were very much funding so many of the activities of the devotees. They were subsidizing the lives of many of the Vaishnavas. Very charitable. They were devotees. So naturally, Advaita Acharya was very affectionate toward their only child. And he personally brought little Raghunath into Lord Chaitanya's personal presence, where he got to do menial services for the Lord and see the wonderful pastimes of the Lord. That was the time when Sachimata was doing all the cooking for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there were many, many days of Harikatha and Nam Sankirtan. And Raghunath decided, forget this material life. I'm going to Puri to join Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when he went home, that was his passion. He just would leave without saying anything to anyone to go to Puri, to become a renunciate, following in the footsteps of Thakur Haridas, and serve Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Vaishnavas. But the father couldn't tolerate this. Physically, he had Raghunath apprehended and brought home. And again, Raghunath would leave. And again, they would catch him. Very difficult. It became almost a daily affair. Raghunath would run away from home. His parents would catch him. They decided to have 11 guards watching him 24 hours a day. 4 servants, 5 physical guards, and 2 Brahmins. 11 men were around Raghunath to make sure he did not escape from his multi-million-dollar palace. Hare Krishna. What everyone in this world wants, he was trying to escape from. How is this? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that went to Vrindavan. And on his way back, he was on his way to Vrindavan, and then he came to Ramakeli when Sanatana Goswami told him, better you don't go to Vrindavan now, you should go back to Puri and go to Vrindavan without so many people. So Lord Chaitanya, on his way back, came to Shantipur. At that time, Raghunath really was intense. I want to see my Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What did the parents do? They sent him with a whole array of guards to make sure he came back. At that time, he expressed his desire to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya told him, do not be a Markata Vairagi, a monkey renunciate. Monkeys appear very renounced. They don't wear any clothes. We've seen naked Babas. If you're a naked Baba, people give you all kinds of respect and honor. All you have to do is not wear clothes. And what do monkeys eat? They just eat wild berries from the trees. They don't eat rasgullas. Sometimes they may steal them, but usually they don't. They're just eating wild, bitter berries. But they're very affectionate toward female monkeys. And they have so many extramarital affairs with them. He said, don't be like that. He said, now you should go back home and you should appear to be just like any other attached, ordinary householder person. And you live your life like this. It's not a problem. But in your heart of hearts, you should keep your focus only on the loving service of Krishna. Chant his holy names. And be patient. Very soon Krishna will bestow his mercy upon you and release you from all material impediments. So Raghunath Das Goswami returned. He was married to a most beautiful lady. But still, and it explains, he actually followed Lord Chaitanya's instruction very nice. He was pretending to be just like he was very much attached to everything, but in his heart he wasn't. And Kaviraj Goswami explains how there was one Chaudhary who was the person who would exact taxes from all the landowners and give them to the king, and he would get 25% himself. But Hiranya and Govardhan, they had such high position, they were paying their taxes directly to the king. So this person, who was Turkish by descent, he was really angry with them because he wanted their money and he wasn't getting it. So he started spreading all kinds of lies. And he was doing all kinds of internal research of their accounts. And he complained to the king. And the king sent someone to arrest Govardhan and Hiranya. But they happened to not be there. So they arrested Raghunath. Put him in prison. And that Chaudhary, he was harassing Raghunath. Tell me where your uncle and father are, or I'm going to beat you. Verbal abuse. And when every time he was about to beat him, he saw Raghunath's face, which was so peaceful and so full of love and composure and compassion, his heart would melt. And Raghunath said, actually, you are like my uncle. My father and my uncle, they've known you for so long. You're like my own uncle. And in our village, the uncle is just like the father. So please, Father, consider me your own son. And I understand that sometimes brothers like you and my father and uncle, you fight, but it's not very serious. Brothers always fight. We can settle all of this. And he spoke with so much affection that this man, tears were pouring from his eyes. He said, yes, you are my son, my beloved son. I don't want to hurt you. I only want you to be happy, my son. Now please just go back, find your father and your uncle and ask them to settle with me. That was how expert Raghunath Das was in even ordinary affairs. But again, he started running away from home. And again he was caught. So one time he heard that not far away, just across the river Ganga, Nityananda Prabhu was in Panihati with many of his great associates. So Raghunath went with his guards. By this time he's a young man. And from a distant place he offered his obeisances. One devotee told Nityananda Prabhu, there is Raghunath offering obeisances from a distant place. Nityananda Prabhu said, Raghunath, why are you hiding? Come here immediately. And he had someone grab Raghunath and bring him there. And he said, you are like a thief because you are staying in a distant place and hiding. Therefore I punish you. You must feed all my devotees a wonderful feast of chida-dahi, of yogurt and chipped rice and condensed milk. So Raghunath was very happy. And along with his assistants, they just bought all the chipped rice and all the yogurt and made big, big pots of condensed milk and soaked the chipped rice in milk and then put half of it in condensed milk with camphor and special bananas and sugar and ghee. And the other half was with yogurt and bananas and different sweeteners. And Nityananda Prabhu was so happy. It was such a wonderful feast. Right on the bank of the Ganges, Nityananda Prabhu, in the mood of a cowherd boy, was thinking, this is just like being on the bank of the Yamuna with my Gopas. So in his heart, he called Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to join this feast. And Lord Chaitanya, in a transcendental form, appeared. Only a few people could actually see him. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people were coming for this feast. And Raghunath was menially serving everyone with chipped rice and yogurt. In the end, he approached Nityananda Prabhu. But Raghunath Das Goswami, one thing we'll find in his Leela is he was so shy. He was so humble. He rarely approached Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda directly. He usually spoke through someone else. He approached the Lord through a devotee. Raghunath understood that one can only attain the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. And one can attain the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu by serving his servants. So he fed all the devotees, then he approached Raghava Pandit and expressed his desire. I am bound by material affluence. I want to escape this material existence, and I want to accept the renounced order of life and serve Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri. Nityananda Prabhu first told all the devotees to bless Raghunath Das Goswami. And then he spoke. He said, Raghunath, because you have been blessed by all the Vaishnavas, because you have served all the Vaishnavas with such a pure heart, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally came to this feast and accepted your offering. Very soon, you will escape from all impediments, and you will be an intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya in Puri. In fact, you will be put under the care of his own personal secretary, Swarup Damodar Goswami. Now go home and be patient. Raghunath went home. He was longing for that moment to come. And eventually it did. Yadunandanacharya, the family guru, came to him late at night. Raghunath then, after coming back from Panihati, was staying he was sleeping in the outside courtyard of his house. His guru told him that the pujari for my deities has abandoned his service. Please go preach to him and tell him to come back and do his seva. Because he knew how influential Raghunath Das was. So late at night, the two of them were walking. And Raghunath said, Dear Gurudev, you don't have to stay up so late at night. I can handle this alone. So he was alone. And he was thinking, this is the moment I have been praying for. Now, whether he preached to that pujari or not, it's not explained. But one thing we do know is he ran into the forest. And he just walked very, very fast. And he wouldn't go any of the main roads. He was going through jungle pathways so that nobody would find him. Because he knew first thing in the morning there would be a whole posse of guards searching for him. He walked all day without stop, very swiftly. Finally, late in the night, through the night, he came to the shed of a cowherd man. And he slept there in the shed with the cows. And the cowherd man gave him a little milk. Then he continued his journey. Meanwhile, the next morning, his parents woke up. Where is Raghunath? Previously, his mother told his father, we should tie him with ropes. Father said, he has the wealth of Indra, which he has a wife that's as beautiful as a heavenly angel. He has fame, popularity, everything that keeps people bound to this world. What will ropes do? Even a mother and a father cannot interfere with a person's activities in his previous life. He has become the recipient of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what can anyone do to pacify such a madman who's mad with that love of God? But still, they tried. They knew that Shivananda Singh, he was taking a whole group of people to Puri from Bengal. So they sent many guards to him and said, "Where is Raghunath?" They looked all over. He was not there. Shivananda said, "I don't know. We have not seen him." They turned back. His parents, alas, alas, he is gone. Meanwhile, Raghunath Das Goswami, he was walking so fast. He finally reached Puri. It took him 12 days. He only stopped 3 times in that 12 days to get some food that was given to him without his own efforts. He hardly slept. He was just so eager to meet the Lord in his abode of Sri Jagannath Puri. And when finally he came, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting with Swarup Damodar Goswami, and Mukunda Das said, "Raghunath Das has come." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so happy, he lifted him, he embraced him. Raghunath Das Goswami explained to him what had happened. And Lord Chaitanya said, "Only by the mercy of Krishna is this possible that you have come here." This man had everything material, and he's only attracted to Krishna. He said, "Your father and uncle were friends of my grandfather and father, so they're like my uncles, so I can speak jokingly about them. Although they're devotees, they are very much attached to materialistic things. They are like worms living in the pit of stool of material enjoyment. And it's very, very difficult to liberate a worm, even if you take one out. Yeah? I have to confess I tried it. Because I like to get, the experience of what it says in the scriptures. You take it out. You liberate them from the abominable condition of a pit full of stool. And you put them next to some nice halava. And guess what they do? They crawl right back into that pit. And just burrow themselves deeply into the nectar. I'm sorry. However much I try to hide my real tendencies, they just come out. So Lord Chaitanya said, "Only by the mercy of Krishna have you been liberated from that situation." And Raghunath Das Goswami said, I do not know who is Krishna. And I do not understand what is Krishna's mercy. I only know one thing. It is only by your mercy that I have attained the service of your lotus feet. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he put Raghunath Das's hand in the hand of Swarup Damodar Goswami. And he said, "I entrust you to my own personal secretary." And said to Swarup Damodar, "You personally take care of him. You will be under his care." Then he saw Raghunath Das Goswami. He was very much 12 days in the jungle. His clothes were all torn. He was really in bad shape. He was quite emaciated too. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had Govinda get him some fresh cloth and had him... Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had Govinda giving Raghunath Das all Lord Chaitanya's remnants from his Rajbhog offerings. But after a few days, the Lord asked, he asked Govinda and Swarup Damodar, "Where is Raghunath?" Raghunath was in the front of the Singhadwaram, begging for food. Lord Chaitanya was very happy. He's really accepting the spirit of the renounced order of life. The pujaris would come in and out, and they'd see the beggars sitting there, sadhus, beggars, and just drop some Mahaprasad for them, according to their whims. That's how he was surviving. Meanwhile, his parents, they sent some servants and a sizable amount of money to Puri for Raghunath Das. So you know what Raghunath did? He didn't take a single paisa of that money for himself. Twice a month, he would use that money to make a big feast for Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya would be invited, and he would eat it very happily, and then all the Mahaprasad was distributed to everyone. This went on for, I think, about 2 years. And then Lord Chaitanya asked Swarup Damodar Goswami, why Raghunath is not inviting me anymore? And he said, because Raghunath Das was thinking that you really didn't like eating all this food collected from money of materialistic people. You were only eating it because you felt sorry for Raghunath Das. So now he doesn't accept that money anymore. Well, where is Raghunath eating? I don't even see him at the Singhadwaram anymore. He said now he's just going to the free booths where beggars are given food. Much simpler diet than even the Singhadwaram. Lord Chaitanya said, this is very good advancement. Because when you're sitting there like a beggar, you see a person and you're thinking, what will he give me? He gave me something yesterday. Why, he didn't give me something today. And in this way you're discriminating and evaluating people. But if you just go to the booth, you just, get the simplest fare, what everyone gets. But after some time, Lord Chaitanya saw he wasn't even going to the booths. Raghunath's renunciation was gradually increasing and increasing. At night, there was a place that he would go. Please listen carefully. When the shopkeepers would sell their Jagannath Prasad, what they couldn't sell in a couple days that was becoming rotten, they would throw it in a pile near one of the gates of Jagannath's temple. And the local cows would come there and eat it. All day, they'd just be standing there. You know how cows eat. And they eat it, and eat it, and eat it. And if there was anything that was so spoiled, decomposed, that even the cows could not tolerate it, they would spit it out. I'm sorry, I used to take care of cows, so these are actually realistic sound effects. At least according to my capacity. So Raghunath would go there and pick up the pieces that were spit out by the cows. And they were all full of dirt. So he would wash them. He would scrub each little grain until there was just the hard inner portion that wasn't cooked so much. And he would put a little salt on that. That is all he ate. Swarup Damodar Goswami tried some. Couldn't believe it. And he told Lord Chaitanya about it. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is all-knowing, came there one day just at the time when Raghunath was about to have his prasad. And he said, Raghunath, I heard you're eating wonderful, wonderful prasad. Please give me some. And Raghunath said, no, I don't have any prasad. And Lord Chaitanya said, give me. He said, I don't have. And Lord Chaitanya reached around and grabbed it. And ate it. He ate that, the inner portion of rotten old rice. and went into ecstasy. He was about to eat more. Swarup Damodar Goswami said, "No, no, my Lord, this is not fit for you." Lord Gauranga, he expressed his heart. That I have had so many sabjis and so many cakes and so many sweets and so much wonderful prasad, but I have never ever tasted anything so nectarine and delicious as what Raghunath is tasting every day. We have already quoted Srila Prabhupada that the Supreme Lord does not accept what we offer, but He accepts the purpose in which it is offered. Mahaprabhu Bhakta Ganer Vairagya Pradhan. In this instance, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was tasting the renunciation of Raghunath Das Goswami. But what is renunciation on the path of bhakti? There's no taste for just ordinary renunciation of material enjoyment to the Lord. Real renunciation, real detachment is total attachment to Krishna. Attachment to loving Krishna. Attachment to serving Krishna. Attachment to chanting Krishna's holy name. This is what Lord Chaitanya tasted when he was eating those hard, little, tiny kernels of rotten rice, which would be absolutely unpalatable to anyone, including cows. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was tasting the attachment Raghunath Das Goswami had to Krishna, which was manifesting in complete detachment from his own personal selfish interests. Herein it is described what Raghunath Das Goswami's life was. It is described that his observance of his sadhana, his devotional principles, were like the lines in stone. You cannot erase a line in stone. That line goes from throughout the entire existence of that stone. Similarly, no situation, no circumstance, no impediment could detour Raghunath Das Goswami from his sadhana. Constantly absorbed in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord and serving the Lord. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became so very, very conquered by the love and devotion of Raghunath Das Goswami. He gave him such a special position. He was the assistant to the personal secretary of the Lord. Swarup Damodar Goswami. They were in charge of providing the meals, arranging the baths, arranging his room, all the most intimate details in the personal life of Lord Chaitanya. Swarup Damodar Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami and Govinda were taking the care of it. A sannyasi named Shankar Ananda Saraswati came from Vrindavan and gave Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 2 gifts, a Gunjamala and a Govardhan Shila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he saw this Gunjamala as being none different than Srimati Radharani. And the Govardhan Shila was Krishna's own personal body. He would wear the Gunjamala sometimes. And when he was in great ecstasy of love, he wore that Govardhan Shila practically 24 hours a day. And when he was in the deepest ecstasies of Radha's love and separation from Krishna, he would soak that Shila with his tears. He would put it over his heart and press it. He would put it on his head. He would put it on his eyes. In the mood of Radha, he was loving Krishna in the form of that Shila. He presented these two of his most intimate personal items to Raghunath Das Goswami. Not only that, he arranged for different types of worship. Raghunath Das Goswami would every day worship that Govardhan Shila with tulsi leaves and water. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arranged for Swarup Damodar Goswami and Govinda to arrange special sweetmeats and other such paraphernalia to be offered to Giriraj. In this way, Raghunath Das Goswami lived in Puri. People would come back from Puri to Bengal, and Raghunath Das Goswami's parents would ask, "How is Raghunath? How is Raghunath?" And they would say, "Oh, how is he? Oh, you should see him. He's more dear than the very life of all the Vaishnavas. He's so humble. He has such a deep service attitude, so respectful to all living beings. Everyone loves him more than their own life. Well, how's he living? What is he eating? What does he wear?" Isn't that what parents ask? Oh, they were praising him. What does he wear? He just wears just dispatched cloth that somebody throws out. And he puts that around him. Some rags. And as far as eating, he's eating that food that the cows spit out. But he's constantly chanting the holy names. He's constantly immersed with tears in his eyes in the ecstasy of love of God. How many of your parents would like to hear that? They're Vaishnavas. Their hearts would be broken. 16 years, Raghunath Das Goswami was witnessing the most intimate, confidential pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then the time came when Lord Chaitanya disappeared from this world. Soon after, Swarup Damodar Goswami also departed. Raghunath Das Goswami's heart was struck by the thunderbolt of Vipralambha, separation. It was unbearable. How to live? Why am I still breathing? Why is my heart still beating after the two lords of my life have left me? He decided he would go to Vrindavan. He would meet Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, take their blessings, climb to the top of Govardhan Hill, and jump down to end his life. With that meditation, he walked barefoot to Sri Braj Bhumi. He met Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis. They convinced him, "No, you cannot end your life. You do not have our blessings. You must stay here with us." No one knows the latter pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri better than you. Not only have you witnessed all of these things, but you've heard from Swarup Damodar Goswami, Ramananda Rai, the pastimes of the Lord. Not only that, but you have the notebook of Swarup Damodar Goswami with his explanations. So stay with us and explain to us the pastimes of the Lord and give us great pleasure. Raghunath Das Goswami lived amongst Rupa and Sanatan as one of the 6 Goswamis. The very personification of love and devotion in the spirit of renunciation. How did he live? Some of his regulative principles. Every day, without fail, he would offer 1,000 dandavat obeisances to the deity of Krishna, to his Govardhan Shila, or other deities. He would chant minimum 100,000 names of Krishna. He would offer minimum 2,000 obeisances to the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. That is how much he honored the devotees. That was his regulative principle. It's hard enough for us, once a day before japa, to go bancha kalpatarubhyas. From his heart, spontaneously, in love, humility, and respect for the devotees, 2,000 times a day he would chant, he would pranam to the Vaishnavas. And he would wear just a discarded piece of old cloth around his loins and a torn quilt in the winter. That's all. Live very, very simple. And he lived with the Goswamis in Vrindavan, and eventually, with Rupa and Sanatan's blessings, he made his residence on the banks of Radha Kunda. It is explained that when he was on the banks of Radha Kunda was in the same condition as when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu originally found it. They were just two little puddles in a paddy field, very small ponds, just in the mud. Lord Chaitanya was traveling all around that area of Aritagram, searching for Radha Kunda. It's the supreme of all holy places in the entire cosmic manifestation. But it was lost. Lord Chaitanya went there to discover it. There's a place called Chaitanyavat, where he was sitting under a tree. And there he actually, Radha and Krishna, he could see that most dear, most sacred, and most blessed of all places. Lord Chaitanya bathed in that little pond in a paddy field, put the tilak of the mud on the 12 parts of his body, and with folded hands worshipped it, glorified it, and offered prayers. Raghunath Das was living there. And he was thinking in his heart that Lord Chaitanya, he wanted the Goswamis to excavate the places of pilgrimage so that people would benefit. And also for the pleasure of Radha and Krishna. So he was thinking in his heart how nice it would be to make a nice excavation of Radha Kunda and Shama Kunda. But then he thought, I don't have anything. And it's so much trouble to try to do it. So he put that thought aside. But it was his desire. And how Krishna fulfills the desires of his pure devotees, we can never understand it by material calculation. Krishna is the controller of all controllers. He's the Lord within the heart of every living entity. There was a very wealthy merchant who was taking a pilgrimage to Badrikashram to give a large donation to the temple of Badrinath. But Badrinath appeared to that merchant in a dream and told him, go back down from Himalayas, go to Brajbhumi, there's a place called Radha Kunda, and give all your money, everything, to Raghunath Das Goswami to renovate Radha Kunda and Shama Kunda. He didn't have to ask anyone for a donation. He just had the desire, and Krishna sent everything. So they began the construction. And we know that Govardhan Hill, Radha Kunda and Shama Kunda, are like the two eyes of Shri Giriraj. Giriraj is the body of Krishna. Directly and personally. Not symbolically or figuratively. It is the body of Krishna. At the time of the great Anakuta, when Krishna told Nanda Maharaj and the Gopas that do not offer this mountains and kunds of food to Indra, offer it to Giriraj, to Govardhan. So they, according to Krishna's instruction, they made mountains and mountains of prasad and lakes of liquid prasad, and they offered it all to Giriraj. And then Giriraj manifested a huge form and ate it all. And Krishna offered his obeisances. But in doing this, Krishna offered his obeisances and showed that Giriraj is not different than me. Govardhan is my body. Simultaneously, Haridas Varya, the greatest devotee of Krishna, because he's doing the most intimate loving service for Krishna, for the cowherd boys, for the cows, by supplying grass and by providing nectarine water and nice cool caves and stones that are warm in the winter and cool in the summer. The gopis say there is no greater devotee than Govardhan because he knows how to give pleasure to the cows and to the devotees. Therefore he is most dear to Krishna. But simultaneously he is Krishna himself. So while they were excavating the Kund, they hit a rock and blood came out. So Raghunath Das Goswami, they were excavating a well, I believe. He said, don't do any more. And then Krishna appeared to him in a dream and said, I'm not different than Govardhan, and you just put a hole in my tongue. That's why it was bleeding. So take that stone out. That is my tongue. And put it in a temple so that people can worship it. So those of you who have done Govardhan Parikrama, there is the tongue of Govardhan, installed by Raghunath Das Goswami. And he had all excavation architectural plans for making a rectangular shape to Shamakund. But there happened to be 5 trees that the workers were about to cut down the next day. But that night, Yudhisthira Maharaj appeared to Raghunath Das and said, those 5 trees is myself and my Pandava brothers. We are on the banks of Shamakund meditating on the eternal Leela of Radha and Krishna. So that is why Shamakund is not in a regular shape. Many stories, but I will end very quickly. Sanatana Goswami would come to visit Raghunath Das Goswami. He was so simple. He was just sitting on the banks of the Kund chanting. And Sanatana Goswami saw just a few feet away was a gigantic tiger drinking water from Shamakund. And he saw Krishna standing between Raghunath Das Goswami and the tiger with a stick to protect Raghunath Das. Sanatana Goswami, after the tiger went away, he said to Raghunath Das, we're supposed to be serving. You're doing your bhajan, you're chanting Hare Krishna. Krishna, how can I serve you? And Krishna's coming to serve you. Raghunath was very embarrassed. And it is said, the scriptures tell that, but it is also said that another time Sanatana Goswami came, it was the middle of the summer, and it was at noon, and the sun was blazing, and Raghunath was just sitting there chanting the holy names, meditating on Krishna. And Srimati Radharani was standing over him with her veil, shading him, while she was standing in the sun, perspiring. Sanatana Goswami watched. When the sun went down, Srimati Radharani left. Sanatana Goswami said, Radharani's not coming to serve you. We are her eternal servants. Please make a kutir so you can do service for them and they don't have to come to protect you. And then Raghunath Das Goswami established his bhajan kutir on the banks of Radha Kunda. He was living so simple. At one point, once a day, he was eating only one little leaf cup of liquid buttermilk. That's all. Hare Krishna. So his servant, his name Das, he understood Raghunath would only take one little leaf cup of buttermilk, like whey, so let me try to find the biggest possible leaves. So there's a place called Sakistali, which is the place of Chandravali Gopi, who happens to be Srimati Radharani's expansion, who for the purpose of increasing the pleasurable excitement of the Leelas of Radha and Krishna, Chandravali and Padma and Shaibya, her associates, they're always trying to take Krishna away from Radharani and bring her to Chandravali. And Raghunath Das Goswami is very, very much Radharani's maidservant, the servant of the servant. So this big leaf folded up with quite a good quantity of buttermilk in it. Chas, yes? Yeah? Chach. Any word I need, Krishnananda Prabhu, he says it before I even need it. He's very intuitive. Raghunath asked, he was curious, where did you get such a big leaf like this? He said, from Sakistali? Raghunath Das Goswami became angry, transcendental anger. And he took that leaf and threw it as far as he could. He said, I will never take anything from Sakistali. That was his mood of love. He was always constantly immersed in the personal loving service of Srimati Radharani in her eternal Leela while sitting on the banks of Radha Kunda. At a certain point, he wasn't even eating leaves. Srila Prabhupada explains he would just eat a few drops of buttermilk in his palm, sometimes on a leaf. That's all he ate. 22 hours a day he would be immersed in offering his dandavats, chanting the holy names, and meditating on Radha and Krishna. In hardly 1.5 hours he would do his eating of his buttermilk and sleeping. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains sometimes he was so totally engrossed in his devotional service he simply could not find time to give 1.5 hours to eating and sleeping. Srila Prabhupada said he was very skinny and very weak in health. And Prabhupada said, if you try to imitate Raghunath Das Goswami, you will die. You cannot imitate great souls. We cannot imitate Lord Shiva, who drank an ocean of poison. We cannot imitate Raghunath Das Goswami. Now Lord Buddha, he also did very severe tapasya for detachment. Raghunath Das Goswami, he did that type of severe tapasya, but in a spirit of total attachment to positive loving absorption in Radha and Krishna's eternal Leela and service to all the Vaishnavas. When Janava Devi came to Vrindavan on a pilgrimage with many of her most intimate associates, even some of Lord Nityananda's personal devotees. She was welcomed by Jiva Goswami in Vrindavan, but she was so eager to meet Raghunath Das Goswami. She went to Radha Kunda. And Raghunath Das Goswami, who was quite old then, he ran, he literally, as much as he could, he ran to the outskirts of Radha Kunda and fell in full dandavats to worship Janavadevi and brought her back to Radha Kunda. And just close to his bhajan kutir, there's a tree. It's a tamal tree? It's a banyan tree? Tamal tree, yes. I believe it's a tamal tree. There, under that tree, she had darshan of Lord Gopinath in her eternal Leela of Ananga Manjari and Krishna. And she could personally perceive her own residence in the heart of Radha Kunda as Radharani's little sister. Janavadevi, seeing the love of Raghunath Das Goswami, she was just absolutely overwhelmed. This is how he lived. One day, the son of Vallabhacharya, Vittalnath, came to visit Raghunath Das Goswami and saw he was very sick. So he brought two Vaidyas, two doctors, to do a test. And they did his pulse and checked him in various ways. And they said, without doubt, his problem is indigestion because he ate too much. Vittalnath said, Raghunath Das Goswami overeating? It's not possible. They said, no, he did. By our diagnosis, he had a large quantity of sweet rice. Highly condensed milk with sugar and rice and camphor and ghee. All the devotees were thinking, these people are bogus. What kind of doctors? He just needs a few drops of whey. And when that diagnosis came, Raghunath Das Goswami started to laugh. Oh, why are you laughing? He said, it's true. He said, in a dream, I was serving Sri Radha and Krishna, and Radharani gave me a pot of sweet rice. It was her remnants. Krishna ate it. Radharani ate it. And then the gopis gave it to me. And I ate it. And I just ate all of it. And now I have indigestion. This is Raghunath Das Goswami. What was in his meditation was actually a higher reality than any reality of this world. Raghunath Das Goswami lived a long life on the banks of Radha Kunda. And every day, for a minimum of 3 hours, he would describe the pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How many of you would have liked to go to those kathas? With all the emotion, with all the love, with all the facts. He would narrate Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leelas in Jagannath Puri. And one of his students, who would come there every day to hear and to take notes, was Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Years passed in this way. It's not that Raghunath Das Goswami just had a 7-day seminar. 3 hours a day for years and years and years. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are unlimited, and they're so nectarine and so deep and so full of bhava or love that even one pastime you can speak of for all eternity, and if you have devotion, you'll never get tired of it. That is the nature of Krishna Katha. If we actually develop that ruchi, that higher taste. Sarinvatam Swakata Krishna, Punja Sravana Kirtana. When we develop that taste for hearing about the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, Krishna is so satisfied within our hearts that He cleanses it of all material anarthas, of all impediments, and reveals Himself and our love for Him. There on the banks of Radha Kunda and Shama Kunda, Raghunath Das Goswami would recite the beautiful pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has put those words of Raghunath Das Goswami into the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. On this very holy day of the disappearance day of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, and Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, let us bow our heads in gratitude. And especially to bow our heads in eternal gratitude to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who so perfectly following in the footsteps of the Goswamis, carrying on their mission, has revealed the glories of Vrindavan, the glories of pure bhakti, the glories of Radha Krishna, the glories of the Panchatattva, the glories of the 6 Goswamis, and is inviting us into the entrance of their eternal pastimes. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.